lot of people give Mark Tremonti some grief because he was the guitar player from Creed. You know Creed. With arms wide open. Well, he's also been in Alter Bridge, and for the past couple of years alongside of Alter Bridge has had a pretty successful run as a solo artist. So here we are with Dust, his newest solo unveiling, and this is one that it directly follows up Cauterize from last year. In fact, these two can be seen as companion pieces as exhibited by the two album covers, having some strange similarities that definitely seem to suggest a link. And plus, whenever these albums were announced, they were announced as a pair. They weren't announced individually. So what does Tremonti really have to boast for us as opposed to what he does with Alter Bridge and as to what he did with Creed? I think with these solo albums, Mark has the opportunity to branch out and show just the entire breadth of his influence. He at one point wanted to be in a speed metal band, after all, with his brother and a couple of other folks, so there's even that little metallic shimmering idea. And really, if you don't consider this guy to be a talented bloke, a talented guitar player, check out Blackbird by Alter Bridge, which is largely considered to be one of the best songs of the modern era. It's pretty crazy the accolades that this song, which is largely ignored by the major press, has really gotten. And it's based off of that idea that everything that's old is great and everything that's new isn't. And in many cases, that's just wrong. So let's get into the album. My Last Mistake, The Cage, and Once Dead. Why do we lump these first three tracks together? It's because we're going to get to something that Tremonti is excellent at, but you need something to set it up, and that's what these three tracks do. It showcases the directness of what he's able to accomplish. It shows that he's going to experiment a bit with his own influence while also maintaining a tight hard rock sound. And this is the hard rock sound that your daddy or perhaps even your granddaddy would listen to, and it's going to take him back a little bit. It's going to be a little heavier than what he's used to, but if he's a fan of Alter Bridge, there's a good chance that listening to Tremonti's solo work is going to feel right within his own wheelhouse. It's something where Classic Rock Magazine has taken cuts from Tremonti's work and have put them on their sampler albums, and really have praised him as somebody who's really keeping the banner of classic rock or hard rock flying high. And these cuts, I could definitely see one of them perhaps making that bill, perhaps My Last Mistake, or even some of the songs that happen a little bit after this. But Dust is definitely the first of the highlights that this album is able to possess. This 5.5 minute long cut really does go the whole diversity gamut. It shows that he's a guy that has done quite a bit in his career in order to really put together and really craft riffs and craft songs, craft music that is very interesting. And whenever his compositions are allowed to breathe a little bit more, whenever he opts to go the longer route, it really is very advantageous for him, considering he's able to write very good hooks to accompany those terrific riffs for verses or even riffs for choruses. It's something that gives him a little bit of an extra oomph on that overall validity meter, I suppose. But even though Dust was great, there's a track that is just 2 tracks after it, Tore My Heart Out, that really has even more power to it. This one's not quite as long as Dust, but this one drives that idea of real big hook, real big melody, and real big guitar, even more so than Dust did. Dust had a little bit more of a quieter element to start it off before launching its fury. But Tore My Heart Out just feels like a bona fide rocker. Perhaps this is the one that Guitar Rocker Classic Rock Magazine should really tap into for some sort of compilation album, because damn, is it really good. Now, songs like Catching Fire and Never Wrong, really, they kind of suffer from one of the same ideas that Cauterize had. Cauterize's second half was not nearly as strong as the first half of its album suggested and the first half of its album executed. I feel that with Catching Fire and Never Wrong, you kind of see that very same philosophy, where these are 2 tracks that are fairly decent, and really, whenever you look at the whole of what classic rock or hard rock is right now, is definitely a cut above, but it's something that feels like a second place, a silver medal to some of the gold standards that were really delivered within the first 6 cuts on this disc, which makes them feel a little bit lacking. It's one of those things that you could have a really solid song, but if the other works on your album are a lot better, it's going to make it feel inferior. It's going to make it almost sound like a stinker, whenever in reality, revisiting that song by itself would probably be a favorable idea. It would be something that you would look at a track with a little bit more of a positive veneer. I like Rising Storm, though, considering it has a little bit more aggression, and that's track number 9. It's a quick little 3.5 minute long song, not even 3.5 minutes, that does showcase a little bit of that heaviness that we were talking about with him wanting to be a part of a speed metal band. And then Unable to See starts off extremely soft, but then is able to launch into one of those bona fide classics that Tremonti has been a part of. Whether it takes a little bit of a shine from Creed or a little bit of a shine from Alter Bridge, somehow everything comes together to craft a great finale whose final guitar solo is one that reminds you once again, which you're reminded often on this album, that Mark Tremonti does like to shred. He's not somebody that's going to lace together a 3 to 4 minute long solo on each and every cut like he's a bluesman, either that or Zakk Wylde maybe. But really, Tremonti's use of guitar solos is one that really fits the tracks, and he's one that is able to diversify outside of some of the basic patterns of songs, but is also unafraid to just stick with melody and really craft a solo that is able to fit very tightly with that. He's not afraid to be a little bit simple whenever he needs to be, and be technical whenever it's really required. I also love the fact that Unable to See and Never Wrong both kind of have a strong Creed vibe. Both of them feel like they could be tracks that he was perhaps waiting to use in case there happened to be another Creed reunion, because we really need that. So overall, I would say that between the two albums, Dust is the one that's just a little bit better. This is the one that Tremonti seems to really have saved some terrific material for, or continued to craft terrific material in order for it to be very successful. I like this album a lot. I like Cauterize too, but like I said, it was one that the second half was a bit weaker. It wasn't able to deliver quite the same element that the first half was, but I stated that could have easily just been a bump in the road. Who knows what could happen in the future? Well, here we are with Dust. We have an album that's a lot better, has a little bit more consistency from inception to completion, and it really does deliver a terrific experience for fans of both hard rock, classic rock, and, even as a metal fan, I really enjoyed listening to this disc because Tremonti has just such a terrific sense of not only melody, but of heaviness, and it's something, somewhat of a duality that is sometimes rare to find. It's sometimes difficult to imagine. For all those that say that Five Finger Death Punch is one of the best modern hard rock bands, you should really look towards bands such as Alter Bridge or even Tremonti, considering he's able to balance that hard edge with a little bit more melody in a much better way, considering Five Finger Death Punch is really closer to the metallic element, considering there's a lot of aggression on albums such as theirs. So what would I give Dust as far as a score is concerned? An 85 out of 100. This is a solid enough disc that only has a couple tracks that don't feel like standouts. All of them work pretty well on their own, and you don't get bored listening to this disc. Its 10 tracks actually move by very quickly, which leaves a very smooth experience. But I want to know what you guys think about Dust by Tremonti. A lot of you have been clamoring that I talk about this disc, even though I told you a long time ago that I planned to. But it definitely shows that this is a gent that has a lot of fans and a lot of respect. So, out of respect, what'd you think of his album? Give him a little bit of feedback in case he happens to perchance upon this video. Let him know what you think. Let me know what you think of this disc. My name is coverkillernation, and I will talk to you guys next time whenever we'll be talking about an hour of the day. A band that's the hour of the day. It's 6 a.m. Fine, I'll fucking give it away. I'll talk to you next time.